Welcome back to Confidently Insecure, the podcast where we are absolutely sure that we don't know everything. And my confidants, you've been asking and asking for a finance episode, and I just didn't want to give you any old little money episode. No, I asked the most powerful woman in investing in finance, Miss Sallie Krawcheck, to come and be our guest this week. I am truly honored that you're here. You've been on some of my favorite podcasts, Almost 30, Girl Boss with Sophia Amoruso, Analyze This. You are kind of the Mecca, the holy one when it comes to financial podcasting
and
episodes.
I'm almost 30. I mean, not even having hit my 30th birthday yet.
Me
How about
too,
that?
girl.
I know. It's great to be young.
Yes, Sallie, you are a titan in the finance world. You are not only the Wall Street boss and entrepreneur, but you are also the creator of ELLEVEST, which is an investing app for women that help close the gender investing gap, which... more on that in a little bit. You were the chair of PAC's Elevate Global Women's Leadership Fund. You also are an author, bestseller of Own It, The Power of Women at Work. And you ran a bunch of companies that I know are very important, banking
Merrill
things.
Lynch.
Bank of America.
No, I didn't run Bank of America. I ran Merrill Lynch. I was CFO of Citi. And back when there was a Smith Barney, which your dads will know about. I ran. I know. Just so you guys have something to talk about at the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah,
I ran Smith Barney in the day.
That you heard a Sallie Krawcheck episode. Now, are you in financing because your last name has the word check in it?
No, interesting question. No. But you never know. There could have been a subconscious something. But, at one point when I used to make a lot of money, I don't anymore. It was called Sallie Paycheck for a short period of time, which was amazing.
That's a great nickname.
It was amazing.
Sallie, I want to start off this episode by telling you that I'm terrified. Money scares the absolute crap out of me.
Okay.
I have business managers and financial planners that I pay to take the stress out of my hands. We had very similar upbringings. I'm also from the South.
Oh, where are you from?
Florida. I was raised, but I went to Auburn University.
Is that really the South, Florida? It's like a different kind of
It's
South,
like the
really. But
stepchild.
Auburn is very... were you
Southern.
sorority?
I did not
hoop
sorority.
Skirt sort of thing.
But I know all those women. The pearls at football games.
There we go.
Wasn't my
so
scene.
important. I'm
No.
weird. I'm just shocked. I'm shocked.
I also moved to New York City right out of college, but we took a different turns. You went down the Wall Street, and I dropped out of 3 colleges and decided to learn nothing about math.
Oh, okay.
So I just want to let you know that I am patient zero when it comes
go.
to millennial women learning about money and
I am
investing.
here to help because that fear of money is, you just have to throw it away. It's because we as women get socialized that, where our brothers are, hearing about, you should be CEO and make a lot of money and invest and go and risk and top of the jungle gym. Even today in our country, little girls budget, coupon clips, save. Mommy, has the budget with the grocery bill. Be careful. Don't fall out of the jungle gym. You might get your dress dirty.
Yeah, you might get your knees scraped out.
I know. And, would you believe that today boys get higher grades in math for the same answers as girls?
How does that mathematically
You would think there's like one answer, but I guess when we're busy proving our work, maybe something, when they take away a few points.
Absolutely.
So we receive these messages from childhood that, nobody says it in these words, but essentially money is for males.
Right.
And, birthday party planning is for females.
Ooh, and grocery shopping and taking care of the kids.
I
I did
know.
not grow up with a mom like that. I grew up with a mom who was the breadwinner of the household. Kids came 3rd or 4th on her list. She was career first, career second, career third. But I guess my first question was for you, should I be even admitting or telling people that I'm this undereducated about money?
I think it's a good first step. We
Admitting
can't
I have a
solve the problem until we recognize the problem.
Sure.
And, beginning to talk about money. Again, we sit here today. We women prefer to talk about anything, literally anything instead of money. Certainly sex. Certainly.
Oh, my favorite.
Oh, hello.
All day.
No, I'm not going to make a joke. I'm holding back from the joke.
Good for
but
you.
even our own death, we prefer to talk about, to envision our own death rather than for us to sit here and say, how much money do you make from this podcast? Right?
not
What
enough,
do you? Well,
girl.
of course. But that's sort of the point. If we aren't talking about it, then how do we know what raise to ask for? How do we know what freelance rates to ask for? And we don't. And then we go in and we did a survey at ELLEVEST, just over a year ago, where we said, you wear the gender pay gap. Yes. Do you have a gender pay gap? Yeah, I don't think so. There is one. But if we're not talking about it, then we don't even know it's there for us in order to close it. So we first got to talk about it.
So I think it's safe to say, hi, my name is Kelsey Darragh, and I'm bad with money.
Yeah,
I know. Thanks for meeting here with me.
I know, but see, it's still an attractive female characteristic to be bad with money.
Oh, because then I can let the man handle all the
Or maybe let's
household.
put it another way. Maybe, if we were to say I'm good with money, and people
then I'm also a bitch.
Show off.
Yeah,
you're showing off. What do you mean you make a lot of money? That's the other thing. There's no amount of money we make we feel good about.
No. Oh, God, it's never ending.
It's too much, and my friends are really struggling, and I don't, just got a raise, but I'm not going to tell them about it.
Can't celebrate.
I'm not making enough, and I have too much student loan debt, and I feel guilty about that because I'm not paying it off. So whatever amount of money we make, we have guilt over it.
Absolutely.
I did.
Yeah.
Even I did. I was on
You.
Even me. I mean, my whole friggin' career on Wall Street.
With Sallie Krawcheck.
Hello. And I was on a different podcast. It was the Sex, Money, and Lies, or Sex, Lies, and Money. And they started to talk about how much money I made.
Right in front of you.
Oh, my gosh. And asking me questions about it. And I'm telling you, I started to sweat, and I could literally feel the dribble go down my bra and down my side. And then I was like, we just have to stop. I can't do this.
Right. So do you tell people about your finances?
No.
No, I haven't fixed this
that
issue.
would be unladylike, and then you might not like me. So why would if because I've been socialized that I want to be liked?
Right. Let's start at the beginning. I'd like to kind of go over the Sally story first.
I'm so tired of it. Fine.
Why would you get into this? I mean, first I'd like to ask, what's your sign?
Okay, Sagittarius.
That makes. Oh my God! It's almost your birthday then.
I know.
Wait, no, this is supposed to be a celebratory thing. Yay!
I know. It's actually
birthdays.
on Thanksgiving this year.
Oh, is it?
I know. Like, could there be a better day of the year? It's my birthday, my mom's birthday, Thanksgiving.
Oh,
one day.
gosh,
It's
so
amazing.
you can kind of cover it. It's all done in one day.
And the whole year is downhill
Everyone's already
going
to be together.
It's going to be amazing.
All right, great. Well, that makes a lot of sense because Sages are people who like to have that balance. They're outgoing, but they're also a little analytical, which I wrote down about you.
That's me.
I wrote that you are both sides. Do you consider yourself to be a left brain or a right brain?
I don't know because, and that's why I think I had success relatively early in my career because my first real job, meaning the first job I liked, was an equity research analyst. I know I've just put all your listeners to sleep.
What?
Golly Moses. But you analyze stocks and you build earnings models around them. You write it up. You engage with smart people. And you say, I think this stock is going to go up or I think it's going to go down. And the reason I think I was successful and the reason I loved it is because I could do both sides. I could build a kick-ass earnings model. In fact, one time I was on a flight from London to New York and built my Morgan Stanley earnings model, and the person beside me was just like, that was a thing of beauty to watch. And I was like,
art.
It was, yes, thank you. But I could also write, which most people couldn't.
Right.
And I'm also sort of an introvert extrovert. I'm totally
An
good.
ambivert.
I'm totally good here, and I will be exhausted later this afternoon.
No, that's they coined that term ambivert. I think like 2017 it became an actual personality because so many people can identify with that. So why the hell would you get into such a male-dominated space? You talk about it on another podcast in the 80s. It was kind of like a different beast. Was that challenge something that I don't know, turned you on? Is that like a kink? Like you want to be the boss in the room or what the heck?
Well, it depends on how much we want to psychoanalyze here because I was bullied at school. I went to an all-girls middle school in Charleston, South Carolina. About the toughest, right, wow.
That's
Charleston, South Carolina, all-girls school. Wow. And so, I never thought I would get out of Charleston. When I went to college, I went to UNC. I, honest to goodness, thought I was going north. Like, here I go. Here's a winter coat. I'm going north. And then it was just, now I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And I've gotten out of my comfort zone. And the thing to do then was go to New York and go to Wall Street.
Wow.
Like today, it's sort of go to Silicon Valley.
Sure.
And so that combined with the fact I wanted to make money because we didn't have much of it when I was growing up. So I sort of saw it as a sport. Here I go. Can I do this?
Now, do you think we're going forward or backward in terms of the workspace. We've got the Me Too movement. We've got the Rise Above. Do you think we're making any progress, or are we just as bad as we
corporate
were?
America is sort of bumping along. Wall Street, the investing industry, for years after the financial crisis, actually was going backwards, which is insane when you consider there weren't that many women to start with. There weren't that many people of color to start with. Everybody intuitively knows that the fact that it was all so homogenous led to the financial crisis in part, that homogenous groups overtrust each other. There's even research that the rise and fall of testosterone, when it rises, it leads to too much risk-taking. There's a ton of research. It brought to the economy to its knees. And then an industry that went into the downturn, white, male, and middle-aged, came out whiter, maler, and middle-aged.
Because people are hiring.
And the high-profile women were pretty much fired. As I was.
Let's talk about that.
Good. Wouldn't want to get out of here without talking about getting fired. Thank God you're bringing it up.
Listen, you're a part therapist, I'm a part therapist.
My first husband had an affair with a friend of mine, but okay.
I'm fine. Sally, this is a safe space.
My cat got run over. Not recently.
That's something I can't handle.
I know, it was terrible.
Cats, you've crossed the line.
I know. I actually had a nightmare last night that I couldn't find her, but okay.
Oh, wow. No, dreams do mean a lot. You should watch out for her. I
found her at the
GPS
end.
track.
I found her at the end.
Well then, all's well that ends well. I did want to bring up that you've been profiled for two really huge moments in your career. One, that Fortune dubbed you the last honest analyst.
Amazing.
And then also that you were fired for being too honest good of a person. Do you want to tell the listeners what the hell's that conundrum about?
Two defining moments of my life. The last honest analyst came after I almost got fired the first time. I was running the research department at a company called Sanford Bernstein. At the time, and this is the late 90s, early 2000s, all of the Wall Street firms were conflicted. Their analyst would say, hey, buy this stock low, sell it high to individual investors and institutional investors. But yet we're advising the companies who were issuing the stocks, who you'd say, okay, you want to sell high, but you want to buy low. So who am I working for?
Ooh, who are you working for?
Well, as it turned out, the companies, the big corporate America. And I'm at little Sanford Bernstein. I said, this is conflicted. No, let's stop advising companies. Let's operate in the one business. Well, it was so unpopular. People were quitting over it.
Wow.
We were being told we were going to go out of business. I was about to lose my job. And then the internet bubble of 2000 burst. And, some Elliot Spitzer, who was the New York Attorney General, started to investigate and said, wait a minute, you guys are recommending a stock here, but you have emails that say it's a POS. And so our business, the one I was running, went vertical.
Wow.
And Fortune magazine did a big article, are there any honest people left on Wall Street? And I was the last honest analyst. And it was wild. The picture on the cover of Fortune was bigger than my literal face.
Do you have it somewhere?
What do you mean it? What do you mean? Like how many tens
your
of copies
is plastered in your own.
What do you mean But there was a point I would never forget walking through. Actually, it turned out it was the airport in my hometown, and there it was. And I saw it. I was stunned, and so I put it up against my face, and I'm like, no, it's actually big. That picture is actually bigger than my literal face.
And so you're riding a high here at this moment.
Amazing.
There's, you've done the right thing.
Rewarded for it.
And I had a question down here. Do you think being a woman has anything to do with your anti-corruption brand, or are you just a decent person?
Well, I think those things can go together. And forget about my opinion, there's research that says women are more relationship oriented, more long-term focused, more risk aware. And so I think, those things, come in all kinds of people, but come a little bit more in a woman person.
A woman person. And you are a mother. You have 2 children and 2 stepchildren.
And 2 cats.
2 cats. What are their names? I'd be dragged if I don't ask.
Oh, thank you. Meekum and Nukem.
Oh, I have Leo and Larry.
Oh, well, they were the names of my grandfather's cats in the 19-teens.
Wow.
I know.
Okay, keeping the legacy alive.
I'm trying.
So let's talk about after this high, hitting a low. of being too honest and being
too client focused,
too good of a person in such an industry that already doesn't want you to succeed. And how do you handle this very public firing?
Okay, so fast forward to where we just leave the scene of the issue. In 2002, I get a call from the CEO of the largest bank in the world at the time, Citi, and said, we have this issue with these conflicts of interest. Come here and solve it for us. So I did, and had a nice career there over the next handful of years. Fast forward to the next bubble burst, which is the subprime crisis, the financial crisis of 07, 08. I'm running Smith Barney and the Citi Private Bank. And one of my folks comes in one day and says, Houston, we have a problem. We have $2.5 billion, which is a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Well, it was actually a $2 trillion client base. So it was, in a way, a small part of a humongous business. And he said, we sold these products. We thought they were low risk. We, these packaged different alternatives, leverage. We sold them. We thought they were low risk. They aren't. They were supposed to go down 8 cents in a bad market. They went down 100. We have a problem. And I looked through and I said, you know what? I know what we typically do on Wall Street, which is we would fight it and go to court and be the bad guys. I said, you know what? We were wrong. So I just went to my new CEO, who, as it turned out, I didn't really have a good relationship with, and said, why don't we just play the game differently? Let's partially reimburse the clients.
Oh, wow.
We're going to lose money anyway. We might as well, unheard of. Well, he was like, no and yes, and I, did a new analysis, and you know what I should have known I was in trouble? I could have known this, but the guy he used to send to, who was his sort of number two, would scream at me and tell me to sit down and shut up. Later turns out he's one of the guys who was frequenting that massage parlor in Florida, the strip mall. Where
I'm not surprised at all.
I'm not either, but at the time I didn't know that the playing field was so tilted, that I was dealing with such misogyny.
Right.
So anyway, we go back and forth. The board of the company is like, come debate this here. Went to the board, and, I knew, regardless of what happened, I was going to get fired. I mean, you don't take your CEO on.
Battle.
And we got folks partially reimbursed, and a few months later, I turn around and I see CNBC, and I'm like, oh, look, there's a woman who's going to get fired today. Poor thing.
No,
it's me.
And how are you
And by the way, they were telling, at the time, the people who they were sending on their way, the senior executives, they were giving millions and millions of dollars to. I mean, tens of millions of dollars. And they said, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
And for you,
they said, here's zero.
Peace. We don't care about your legacy.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
So I'm sure there was many tears and drinks had. But was that sort of the fire under your ass that made you want to leave that corporate, dirty world and become an entrepreneur?
Oh, no. I was so into it. I ran Merrill Lynch for a period of time.
A masochist we love.
And was brought in to turn around that business after Bank of America bought in the downturn. We got it turned around, and then they essentially said, well, we're going to have I think the guy was 63 years old. A guy who's never run one of these before, we think is a better choice.
Of
like,
course.
Thank you.
I'm sure some women listening can identify with that. Now we're going to give him a chance?
I know, now that we put you out on the glass cliff and had you turning around when everyone was running out the door, now that it's stable, by the way, again, we're not going to pay you because it was a handshake that they were going to pay me, but we're not going to give you a bonus. Seriously. But we're going to let this guy I've worked with, and for a lot of years, he's going to run it instead. And that,
ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folk, is the
that is when I said I'm out of here. In fact, there's someone else. I got another call, and they're like, "Hey, we have a business that needs to be turned around. Do you want to come do it?"
Oh, the fixer. They need you to fix another problem.
Oh, no.
So good. You decided I'm outie 5,000, and is this
I'm out what?
Audi 5000.
Audi. Oh,
Like,
got it.
That was
I said I'm out 85,000.
Oh, no,
Like,
no. That's a Will I Am reference, right? Audi 5000.
I misheard you. Of course I know that. Okay, I'm so
good. We're on the same page.
And with it.
So is that what started ELLEVEST?
Well, ELLEVEST was a little bit of time after it when I actually went into a bit of an introspective period where, okay, what do I want to do? In fact, speaking of dreams, I still have sort of nightmares where in my dreams, no, this is a different one. This is sort of, I don't have a job. I don't know what I want to do. I should I go back and be a research analyst? I don't know. But, it all came down to one day when I was actually literally putting on mascara and I thought, wait a second, women just don't invest as much as men do. And people had said to me, start an investing firm for women. And I'd said that, we don't need our own thing, you jerk.
Yeah, I'm a feminist. We're fine.
We're, like, hello, what do you think? We need some dumbed down junior financial education.
Yes.
Ridiculous thing. And then it hit me, it didn't matter whether I thought we needed our own thing. The fact that we aren't investing as much as men do is costing us life-changing amounts of money. Life-changing.
How much are we talking?
Well, for your listeners, certainly hundreds of thousands, for some more than $1 million. Put another way, it's leave my job money, leave the relationship that doesn't work money, get your fucking hand off my leg money.
Wow.
And we all know, and therefore it cost us our power.
Right.
So we talked earlier about, I'm not good with money. I don't think they did this, but if the guys had gotten together 100 years ago and said, how do we keep women from having full equality? How do we make it so that if we're Charlie Rose, we get to walk around with our junk hanging out of our robe and women have to stay there, right? Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll have the women have less money than we do.
Because then you have no power, like
That's exactly right. And so it's not a coincidence that women don't invest as much as men do. It's not a coincidence there are not as many women on Wall Street or there are not as many women in venture capital. That money is a male construct in our society.
And now, is that what we're talking about when you speak of the gender investing
That's
gap?
right. That's right.
What is that?
Well, it's
exactly what you
it's the fact that women today, put aside the gender pay gap or the debt gap or any of those things which are hellacious, but just the percent of our money that we invest. Women today leave 71 cents out of every dollar of their money in cash. Earns about nothing. Men invest the majority of their money.
Do they now?
Yes, they do. Which typically, equities have earned since the 1920s a 9.5% annual return, up and down, and good years and tough years. But that's 9.5% versus close to nothing is a huge difference.
Right.
And a diversified investment portfolio has earned about 6.
Wow.
And so it doesn't cost you, if you don't invest today, you wait a week, that's not going to cost you much. But over years and decades, the compounding effect of it is so much that it can average to a cost of $100 a day.
What?
I know.
Girl.
I know. And the other thing we've been socialized as, we're not risk averse per se, though we're told that. We're risk aware.
Sure.
And so we tend to remember the tough times.
Of that is.
And so, I'd love to invest in the markets, but this Trump guy tweets a lot. What if the market goes down? Or he just got and I remember the crash of the 07, 08. That was very tough.
Totally.
Here's the truth. If you had historically, again, since the 1920s, on any given day invested in the stock market, and stayed in it for 15 years. So the day before the crash of 29, the day after, the day before the crash of 87, whatever, your chances of a positive return over that 15 years is 99%. Yeah, I know.
So I don't think we're paying enough attention. I mean, this isn't something we learn in school, which that's a whole conversation.
Tragedy.
I went to public school in Florida, so I'll leave it at that. But I noticed also that ELLEVEST started in 2016. Now, another big thing happened in 2016. Was that a good thing for your business where women now all of a sudden say,
it's a great question.
Burn the bras, I'm investing, or did they still not really know?
A little bit.
A little bit.
So we actually officially launched, we'd been in beta, but we officially launched the day before the election because we were going to have a female president.
We love a marketing queen.
I had on my pantsuit. We all wore pantsuits. We took the pictures. We went, and then the next day, there were tears. And so while, I don't know if ELLEVEST would be bigger and would have grown faster if we had a different president, what I do know is there was an awakening, particularly amongst younger women. So with my generation, when we were in our 20s, I'm not a feminist. I'm not a God. Come on, Mom. Mom, you're a feminist, and I'm nothing like you.
Sure.
And by the way, there's so many women at work. This is pipeline. We're on our way. We're moving. It's just a matter of it's got to take place. And that's what's happened historically. Historically, in our 30s, we went into a fugue state of the job and the kids and the dog and the cat and the second kid.
The second cat.
And then you come out shooting out the other side at mid-40s and you're like, oh, my God.
Right.
Where the F are all the other women? March! And the women in their 20s are typically like, you old hag.
We're marching out of the womb now.
Well, that's right. And so, this point of activation is, for your listeners, they get that it's not an even playing field.
Right.
They get that it's not just a matter.
Sure.
But the best career advice I could give anyone.
Listen up.
Okay, so
Confidence.
work hard, take risk. The real best career advice is invest. Invest, because if you're making those returns over time that have historically been available, you can have that swagger at work. You can leave that job.
Sure.
Right? You can have that confidence.
Sure. So this is coming from, again, one of the most important women in finance, that the best advice she can give you is to invest. Now,
and let me add something.
Yes, please.
And at ELLEVEST, it takes, if you're speedy, 10 minutes. You're a little slower, 15.
I did it.
Yes.
I love the interface.
Yep.
I think it didn't dumb anything down, and the vocabulary isn't trite. Like, it's very...
It's not cutesy.
No, and that obviously was important to you. You mentioned that. But I also want you to tell us a little bit about the team behind ELLEVEST.
Because
was diversity and inclusion important to you?
Oh, yeah.
Were you still living in that pipeline world where you're like, I have no space for other women because I can barely have space for myself?
No.
How was building this
so
team
before
important to
we
you?
get there, one thing,
yes.
thank you for your nice comments. One comment I don't want to forget to make, if someone invests with ELLEVEST or not, I don't know why they'd invest with anyone else, but still, the 15 minutes, is enough to, if you stay in the markets over time, it can be as big, closing your gender investing gap can be as big as closing your gender pay gap. And for a gender pay gap, you gotta be good at your job. Like every day, you have to talk to your boss.
No room for scandals.
You have to play the, you have to play the game.
Yep.
This is something you can actually do. This is a
so much power.
true lean in,
Yes.
right? You can make this choice yourself. Now, the team. I am so proud of the team. And to your point, diversity is our secret weapon. So there's so much research about how diverse teams are more successful teams.
Right.
It's true, by the way, your investing team. It's also true building a business.
Sure.
And yet, Wall Street in investing, which are supposed to be these meritocracies, still are pale, stale, and male. So we are trying to live our values from stern to stem, whatever, from top to bottom.
You said it. I believe it.
So our investors, the people who have funded the company, Melinda Gates.
Love her.
Love her. Penny Pritzker, the former Secretary of
Absolutely.
Commerce, PSP Capital. Valerie Jarrett. Venus Williams.
Oh,
Melody
Queens.
Hobson. All the All-Rays. A number of the All-Rays venture capitalists who are the female venture capitalists who are bringing more women into the business. So we've got...
This is a pussy power team.
It's Elaine Wynn
Wow.
from Wynn Resorts, who's...
That's money. That's Vegas money, honey.
It is. It's an amazing group.
Yes.
So we're, women and our allies. And then our employees, we are, depending on which group it is, anywhere from 55% of our engineering team are women, which is unheard of.
Go female coders.
To, 75% of the leadership team are women.
That's
so
where
majority
it matters.
women. Yep.
Middle management.
We are
Wow.
48% people of color.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And we way over index on the LGBTQIA
That's amazing.
Employees. So it's when you come visit us,
You will.
and you will.
Confidence.
I always have to say, look, this looks like no other firm, Wall Street, investing fintech firm you've ever seen.
Now,
right?
I want to talk a little bit more about once our confidants go visit ELLEVEST. I did, the Mad Libs where it asks about your gender and where you live and your zip code, and it takes all of that information about who you are in your life and gives you just spits out in a matter of seconds.
Technology, huh?
An investing plan.
I know.
And I went, how the hell did they know that that's how much money I was going to need? You know, my goal, it's very goal-oriented, this investing plan. Right. It was to put a down payment on a house. You know, honey, I'm turning 30 next year. I got a partner. We're looking at houses. And it came that moment where I had to hit the deposit button, and I freaked.
Yeah.
I said, I know this company. I trust this company. I've done my research on this company. But that digital connection versus... you know, my financial planner who's a white man in Florida who calls me, it freaked me out for a second. And so he had a question. I called him yesterday and told him I was interviewing you. He about to shit his pants. And he wanted me to personally ask you, what does that mean for people like him that millennials are starting to trust these digital investing platforms?
How old is he?
In his 60s.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, you know, the industry is aging. I was talking to the head of one of these wealth management businesses. You know, think about the Merrill Lynch's, the Morgan Stanleys. And it wasn't one of these, but one of them has more financial advisors over the age of 80 than under the age of 30. Then come on. And so that's awesome. That is awesome.
Sure.
But, you know, women are not turning to them. And it's even worse than that. In the year after their husband's death, women leave their joint financial advisor at a rate of 80 to 90%.
Whoa!
It's so the industry has done a very good job of serving men.
Yes.
Think about CNBC, right? It's sports. It's money is a sport. Think about the Bull. It's like, stay away, women. We are as masculine as we can possibly be with our anatomically correct but very enhanced bull.
Yeah, very enhanced.
Very, like, come on. and then, by the way, this is crazy, right? Traditional Wall Street's answer to the bull is a little girl.
Right. And people are freaking out.
And sure, she's adorable. I love her. But isn't that interesting that the male construct is a bull with huge balls and the female construct is a prepubescent child?
With her braids in her
She's
dress.
brave. She's very fearless. And then, of course, the company that put it out there got sued for gender pay discrimination.
You go, full circle. I mean, we can't get anything. We just can't have nice things.
So actually, as a side note, McCann, who was the firm who came up with the concept of a girl, came to me first. And said, Sallie, only ELLEVEST can do this. And I said, well, I don't have X million dollars to do it. And the original concept was not a girl. It was, wait for it.
Oh, God, I'm so scared.
A cow.
What?
It's a cow. I swear to God, on my grandmother's grave, we sat in my office and I argued with him, you cannot represent women as a cow. And they argued back.
So
much wrong with that.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So I guess thank you for making a little girl. I don't know who I'm supposed to be thanking after all of that mess of a controversy anyway, but that's hysterical. Well, I'm glad we've got what we've got, which is the little girl, even though the company that put it out there did get it.
Well, so look, little girls love it.
Yeah.
Little girls go down to the New York Stock Exchange and stand next to it and put their hands on their hips, and that's amazing.
Sure.
I mean, the company that did it is now suing the female sculptor. But, yeah.
Okay. You know, let's put all that controversy behind us.
Back to this. We got to get back to the issue that you froze. We need to get back to that. You should have called us. We've got a client service desk of fantastic individuals.
So it really is like you have the human connection there, despite. I mean, I do want everything online. I do want to just be able to check myself and feel like I have control and feel that it's secure. But you guys do have that person. That's not going to make you feel dumb. That's not going to make you feel like you don't know anything. You don't know what your net worth is. Is that even important? You're not going to have people infantilizing the experience.
No, and it's all backed by state-of-the-art technology. And so, you know, one of the biggest things that was missing from the industry is, you know, gender. Are you a male? Are you a female? Are you non-binary? Those are the different answers as to how long you'll live. And it's fine if you're a man and you're putting together a retirement plan and you're going to die sooner. So
statistically,
you are. Yeah. Like 80% of women die single. We live 6 to 8 years longer than men. So if the industry, you know how the medical industry, they do all the research around male heart attacks. Fantastic, unless you're a woman who instead of having crushing chest pain has sort of indigestion, a little bit of discomfort. So with the investing industry, if you have people in your planning die on average, then the men die with money and the women die broke.
And no one's going to like Jeffrey Epstein you and try and make you give away all your wealth before you die. What do most men do with their money before they die? Are they leaving it to women?
Well, they'll leave it to their spouse. But here's the other thing, this is new research, when the woman outsources money management to her partner, when that money comes back to her, as it does, 74% of the time she has a negative surprise. So about the most dangerous thing you can do is allow your partner to be in control of the money. And, I was just talking to someone earlier about this. I have numerous friends. I have one friend who tragically, totally outsourced the money to her husband. And when she began, hey, what's going on? We got this notice. This bill seems to be late. What is it? He committed suicide. And they had nothing. That's an extreme case.
Didn't know.
She was an investment banker and gave that up when she got married to raise the kids and become a teacher.
Wow. That is
the most tragic story.
Of a negative surprise.
And so for most of them, it's, what do you mean you didn't fund the 529 plans for the kids? What do you mean you took out a second mortgage? Because what happens in our society, whereas I'm bad with money, that's very female. He's got to be stoic and strong. And he goes to a cocktail party and his friends are like, well, on Kramer tonight, I'm shorting Facebook and I made $100 million on Bitcoin. Right? And so they're nobody outperforms the stock market.
Sure.
Okay. The markets are too efficient. But every man in a toxic masculine environment, all the men are like, yeah.
So
not every man, by the way.
They're not
just
all
some
men, but most
some
of you.
Of them.
So I'm glad you brought up Bitcoin. I did want to ask a little bit about what investing means, because for me, I did something dumb where I let my boyfriend put some of my money in cryptocurrency.
And what happened?
I haven't looked at it, and I know that it's negative.
Well, look, or it's positive. You call Elaine Wynn, one of our investors in ELLEVEST, and just go to Vegas. That's what it is. There's no fundamental underpinning. If you're buying a stock, you are buying, a sliver of a company. You're buying a sliver of the company's earnings. When you're buying Bitcoin, what are you buying? Nothing. Nothing.
Zeros and ones.
Nothing.
So then what about this other thing that I hear? I told you my mother is career. She always told me never let a man make more than you, always be the breadwinner. Very deep instilled fears about money and feminism in my house. But she owns a real estate company. Now, is real estate really the best investment a girl can have?
No. It's not, but it is a home, look, we talked earlier. Equities have historically gone up 9.5% on average annually. Real estate 3%. Okay, different parts of the country, different amounts. That doesn't sound terrible, but it's illiquid, meaning that you can't sell it. Sometimes, right? When the market, equities, you might not like the price you get, but you can go to the New York Stock Exchange opens 5 days a week and you trade it and oh, darn it, I bought it at 20, it's at 17, or I bought it at 20, it's at 30. Your house, which you typically take leverage out on, right? You take out a mortgage. And so, the swings can be greater because of that leverage, but you can get stuck in it. And so if I were to bring you that kind of investment on a standalone basis, you'd say, you know what, Sallie, I'd prefer to be in equities.
Yeah.
But it's a home.
Sure.
Right? That's the thing. And frankly, it's been the way historically that most American families who've built wealth have built wealth. This is part of why we have the racial wealth gap, because white families were able to buy real estate and black families were not. And that wealth compounds over time. Right? And so you build wealth on wealth. And so that's part of the reason for this huge wealth disparity in this country, this tragic wealth disparity.
Take that, Mom. Stop touting that.
Well, no, I mean, you buy.
Sure,
but if you said which one,
So then let's talk about what our listeners, what our confidants are going to see when they go on ELLEVEST. What sort of plan? Is it all stocks and bonds? And what does that mean? what are we going to see? What are we exactly investing in besides ourselves?
Well, oh gosh.
That's my favorite phrase. People are like, invest in yourself or something. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Does that mean go buy the $20 burger that I surely can't afford because it's my self-care?
Well, but you can buy the latte. I mean, what drives us nuts at ELLEVEST is the don't buy the latte.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
classic.
Invest the money and become a million. Like, no, that
not
never
gonna become
happens.
a millionaire by
There's
investing $5.
nobody quit patronizing us. And why is it never don't buy the craft beer? It's always the coded language to women, right?
So
It's
is.
don't buy the facial, you know, don't have the
buy the
facial,
shoes.
the shoes,
Yeah.
you know, not the.
Then how am I supposed to get a job in a male-dominated workforce?
And
if I
by the
don't
way,
have sexy
how am I
shoes?
supposed to like live?
Yeah.
Okay? Like seriously.
Bless.
Seriously. So when you come to ELLEVEST, you know, you can choose one of any number of goals. Our most popular goal is build wealth, which is I don't quite know, you know, maybe I want a house in 5 years. I'm not completely sure. Maybe I want to have a baby. Maybe I want to start a business. But the most popular is build wealth. And you go through, we collect information from you, as you noted, gender, because that can really matter in
And
terms
you have
of
a non-binary
We do.
selection,
We do.
which what an amazing thing. And also, what does that mean for non-binary folk? Where do they fall? Like, which statistic
It's a great question. Well, we tend to put them towards the female end because that's more conservative.
Oh,
right.
there
So
you go.
we'd rather assume that you earn less, you know, and we'd rather assume that you die later. And I guess good news if you die earlier. Great,
Hooray, that's coming for us all.
congratulations, you died with money. And there are no all equity investment portfolios on our site. They're diversified
what that means
portfolios.
for people who don't know
So
what equity
you're not totally equities being riskier and having a higher return historically, otherwise known as stocks. You know, that we don't just buy the riskiest thing. We really, the algorithm very thoughtfully, I guess if an algorithm can think, but the inputs on
will
it.
soon.
Or if you want to buy a house in 3 years, you'll have a less risky portfolio. You'll have more bonds, which is a form of debt, which tends to appreciate less over time but have less volatility. You'll have less equity, which tends to appreciate more but has more volatility. And what's really great about it, and this is what your financial, you know, advisor or planner in their brain can't do, is we can put together a customized portfolio just for you. So your home portfolio will be different from my home portfolio. Will be different from your have a baby or retirement portfolio. So we can go to a very granular level to customize it. What we're not trying to do is beat the market.
Sure. Which
Nobody can.
That's important. You just said that.
It's shocking to me that we still have so much ink and so much airtime filled with picking individual stocks. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. In fact, active managers, those who try to do that, the percent of those who consistently outperform the market on a 5-year basis is 0.1%.
Girl,
And so,
dropping hot truth.
Unbelievable, right? And so there's it sounds very sexy. You know, we believe that with interest rates that the
I would love a young
yeah.
woman to quote that to one of her.
But what ends up
planners.
happening is they spend so much time trying to do it. You can pay high trading fees, you know, and it just puts you back by the amount of fees. So this is a little bit of deep breath, right? Let's keep the cost low. Let's not try to do something that's almost impossible to do. And in doing that, we can, you know, for those passive managers, they've been able to outperform the market typically.
Right.
Or outperform the other investors.
So is this, going back to ELLEVEST and Confidants signing up there, is this a platform that, what do you need?
I have a code for them. I forgot.
Oh, no, I have it.
Oh, you got it.
I'm going to tout it at the end. Don't you worry.
There we go. You've got it. I'm like,
movement?
give me
She's
my
like rolling
phone
papers.
so that I can tell them the gift that we
you
are
guys,
giving to them.
Sallie is giving all of us money, which stay tuned as we wrap up here. Is this a platform where someone like me who's bad with money can go deposit something into investing and then never look at it again? Or is this something that I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night in a hot sweat over?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, there are a couple things you should do. You should deposit money, and then you should have some percent out of every paycheck invested. 1%, 20%, 5%, whatever it is. Why do you do that? It's a smart way to invest. One, you pay yourself first, you take it off the top, you forget it's even there. But two, because the equity markets, tend to have been upward trending over time, but with volatility, when you make it a habit, you can be buying low, you can be buying high. You don't have to think about that decision making.
Right.
And so it accrues to your benefit over time. The most successful ones are, investors are those who just set it aside, right?
Set it and forget it.
And we try to help at ELLEVEST because one of the things we do is we show you whether you're on or off track. This is not something your financial planner really can't do.
I hear from him once a year.
I had the best, as you might imagine, since I ran the place, the best advisor at Merrill. And when the market was down, I was like, "Are we okay?" And he'd say, "Yes." And I'm like,
"Don't ask, don't tell."
Feel better. And so we actually show you. You put this much money in here, make this recurring deposit. You will, 70% of the time or better, have this amount of money at the end, right? This is how it'll grow. And then we'll show you every step along the way. If you're in a certain tolerance, you're on track.
Great.
And if you're not, we will tell you how to get back on track.
That's great.
And so last year in December, you probably won't remember this. I'll never forget it. The market was very volatile.
Didn't know.
I did. And our competitors, their sites were crashing and they were having people pull money out. In fact, there was record mutual fund and ETF, that's a kind of investment, outflows of folks who just panicked.
Whoa.
We barely moved.
Wow.
And we had record net inflows, and people our L raisers stayed put. And we believe it's one, because women don't freak out as much. But two, it's also because we were able to show them you're okay. We built bad markets into your forecast. You can still get the house in 3 years.
Wow.
You're still good. You can still retire at the age of 65. So we built a product that not only is the only one that's gender aware.
Wow.
And very sophisticated, but also says you're on track or you're not. And if you're not, here's what you need to do.
And that answered my question about why ELLEVEST over Robinhood, which is hilariously named after a man, Acorns, those kind of sites. But it sounds like you just answered it here. So I guess
and we all help people. What's great about them and about us is that we all help people, who are beginning investing to sophisticated. And so for us, we have no minimum. We also
which is big.
But also very importantly for your listeners, we have no cap.
Very important.
Very important.
And no minimum means, and this was
you can invest as little as you can open an account with nothing.
Right.
You can invest as little as $1. But we also have women who have multiple millions of dollars with us.
Wow.
And so they love it, because they know that the profitability from their business helps to support women who are beginning to, and our allies who are beginning to invest, where we lose money off of the smaller accounts. But it was super important to us and to me that because investing had been so unapproachable for so many women for so long, and certainly for Caucasian women, but particularly for women of color,
of course,
that we became as approachable and accessible as possible.
So that's a beautiful segue into our offer from Sallie, that she is giving our confidants $50 to start investing with when you sign up for ELLEVEST. That is $50 free.
It's totally
to play with.
Free.
To totally just learn and get your toes wet, dip in. Because my last question to you, Sallie, is...
Well, there's a code they have to type in.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Confidently Insecure.
Okay.
ELLEVEST.com/confidently insecure. And that's good to the end of the year. It'll be linked in the description below.
Okay.
Make sure you click
or
on it.
Or on the
and
app, you can type it in when it says gift code.
It's good. Yeah,
okay.
Everything has to be an app.
You got to remember that part.
Of course. Yeah. Is it ever too late, and can someone who lives paycheck to paycheck use ELLEVEST?
Yeah. Well, yesterday was the best time to start, but today is the other time to start. And we do hear from women all the time who said, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s. It's never too late.
Right.
And you are where you are, and just because you regret not doing things in the past doesn't mean you give up now.
Right.
And there's still an opportunity. Yeah. What was the next part of the question?
Can someone who's living paycheck to paycheck use ELLEVEST?
Well, I'd say that my advice to them would be that depends. You want to get that high interest rate debt paid down first. If you've got a bunch of credit card debt outstanding, then take the $50 and invest and begin to play with it and see what happens and how you feel about it. But with your money, you want to start paying down that credit card debt because that sucks away at your wealth. You want to have an emergency fund. You want to have, a month, 2 months, 3 months of take-home pay if something goes south on you, because something's always going wrong. You can keep your student loan debt outstanding. That tends to be low enough interest rate that it's okay to pay that minimum that you need to keep that on time. But, even if you're, I'm a freelancer, my money comes in different times, then set a percent of it. Say I'm going to invest 3% of it or 10% of it or whatever that is. And that's just the rule. That's just what happens.
So this is something that our listeners can learn and get that advice if they just simply go to ELLEVEST and call your customer service.
That's right. Or
ladies,
text us or
text
email.
Us.
Yeah,
they got texting.
Or just do it.
You guys, ladies and gents and non-binary folks, Sallie Krawcheck, thank you so much for coming and making time for our confidants. And don't forget to use that Confidently Insecure code to get $50 free. What are we doing?
It's free.
Let's go. Sallie, anything else you need to plug? ELLEVEST.com, I'm assuming, is your go-to.
Look, it's my whole thing. We are certainly a business, but we're also really trying to change lives here. And, I've had this amazing career with all kinds of ups and downs, but what's really important to me at this stage is to, get out there and make sure that this Me Too moment we've had is the last Me Too moment we're ever going to have.
What an amazing quote to end on. Sallie, thanks so much. Thank you.